Okay, so welcome to our final fourth class of NLP. Very exciting. We've had a month, almost a month together. A little more because we took the pause, right? But neuro-linguistic programming. So we're going to talk about the language part of NLP and how, excuse me, and how using positive language with ourselves and with others can make a huge difference in how we feel and also in how other people feel, what they experience with us as we um, communicate with them. So it's very interesting in the class, a lot of the messages either in private or in the group chat have been, I can't, this is too hard, I don't understand, right? I appreciate it because especially in the beginning, there were a lot of breakdowns. There were a lot of, I don't know, this group thing, the group chat, some chose to then put their things in the group afterwards, right? Others have done it in private, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, if you've seen me give medals to people and you're like, but I've never seen that stuff, it's because they're sending it to me in private. And it's amazing work. Everybody's done so well. I think everybody can agree that NLP has made us like, ooh, set the goal and then look at it like, whoa, from a whole different perspective, right? But our self-esteem is so wrapped up in our inner monologue, right? What we say to ourselves, how we say it, and it also reflects in how we communicate with others. And since we all have people in our lives, friends, family, spouses, children, nieces, nephews, some of us are caregivers to parents, we belong to communities, right? Language is so important. So, of course, negative words, we know this, can undermine us, break us down, make us feel unworthy. We can't. We feel helpless, powerless. We want to give up. But positive words build us up. They, it gives us confidence, right? We feel good about ourselves. We feel proud of ourselves. The words have power. So positive words lift us up and empower us, but negative words undermine our confidence and self-worth. And so being mindful of the language that we use can help us to provide a more compassionate environment for ourselves that build our self-esteem. There's a quote. See if I could get it real quick. I took a screenshot. I was reading reading something today. And this is it's a quote from Maya Angelou, actually. She said, words are things. You must be careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that. Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. They get on the walls, they get in your wallpaper, they get in your rugs and your upholstery and your clothes, and finally into you. Isn't that, I mean, that's Maya Angelou, right? She's a powerful speaker. Words are powerful, they matter. And I'm sure all of you are thinking about in these last few weeks we've been together, just on a whole, of all the negative words, all the negative thoughts that have run past your brain in regards to this class, whether it's, I don't feel comfortable expressing myself in front of a group, I don't like being in a group, there's too much pressure, I can't keep up, I don't understand, I don't think I can do this, this is too much thinking, I'm not worthy, I'm not good at this, I can't, right? And these words just keep circling around and around, but they matter. And when we have negative, angry, critical words, it causes emotional and physical damage. And not only to the listener, because if these words, if they're here, they become a part of us, and then we express it to others. So it affects us in a negative way, but also those around us. Because if I'm feeling, and then my husband comes and says something to me, either he's going to get that type of reaction or, right? But if I feel empowered and good about myself, and I did my NLP challenge, and the group applauded me, and I see that I did good work, and I feel good. Husband comes over and what are we talking about, right? Today, what's going on, right? It's a whole different attitude. So even a single negative word spoken to another person can leave a lasting impression that may never be erased, which is why a lot of us have the negative thinking. Why? Because our caregivers, our parents, that's what we got from them, unfortunately. And it's very hard to erase that. Negative words create negative attitudes, destroy relationships, and block communication. And for children, oh, all of us that have children in our lives, we have to be so careful. The effects are even more serious. Studies show that there's a connection between the left and the right side of the brain in children who were verbally abused by their parents or by their peers. Those connections are underdeveloped when they become adults because of the verbal abuse they've received. It's so important to be careful how we speak to ourselves and then how we speak to others, but especially the children in our lives. They're so impressionable. So some people justify speaking negatively. They say, oh, I was frustrated, stressed, I was under pressure. But did you know that speaking negative words to others causes physical changes in your own brain that can affect your own well-being? Neurologists have found that saying a negative word such as no, when we say no, immediately the brain releases a flood of stress-producing hormones that interrupt normal brain function and impair your ability to think logically, reason, process language, and communicate. Isn't that something? Because it's those hormones, it's for the fight or flight response, right? And so it means danger, danger. And all that stress happens in the brain by just us saying no or saying negative words. So can you imagine if all those negative words back to back, back to back, what it's doing to our brains? It affects us physically. So thinking and speaking negative thoughts over and over can permanently damage parts of our brain that regulate our memory, emotions, appetite, and sleep patterns. Next week, the live on Zoom on YouTube will be about sleep. Could it be that some of us suffer from insomnia because of the negative thinking, right? Feelings of anxiety and sadness increase when we think and speak negative thoughts, and the ability to experience long-term satisfaction decreases. So it's very interesting that thinking and saying positive words doesn't have the same dramatic effect on the brain because it's healthy, it's good. It just keeps the brain in a good, right, normalized, balanced. And so we have to speak positive words multiple times to counteract the effect on our brain of one negative word. And that's why that audio that I gave you in the beginning of the class is so important to listen to over and over and over. It's empowering, but it's also very positive. And positive and negative, just because of the nature of ourselves and what the world we live in, which has more weight? The negative. It always wins. So we have to really make an effort for the positive to win out, and so that we can look at life very differently. Controlling or eliminating negative words and actions has a positive effect on our health, obviously our overall health, right? It reduces heart disease, improves immune responses. There are people who get sick often. Why? Could that be an underlying factor? The negative monologue in their brain all day, every day, right? So here are some tips. Number one, understand yourself. These are tips on how to speak more positively to yourself and then in extension to others. Ask yourself why you feel so angry or negative. Is it something in the present? Are you hungry, tired, disappointed, late, upset about something that happened at work? But think about it, instead of saying unkind persons to the child or the wife or the husband or whoever's sitting in front of you, look for a positive way to alleviate that source of distress. Maybe take a walk, do your diaphragmatic breathing. Say, I need 15 minutes to myself, right? We're pulling up to the house and we're angry. Stay in the car a little bit. Let's not bring that into the home, because those that are waiting for us, they don't deserve that. They have nothing to do with it. But a lot of times it's not what's happening right now or what happened today at work. A lot of times, most times, it has to do with something that happened way back in our childhood. And what happened at work triggered that memory. So the anger is deep, the disappointment, the sadness. And that's all a part of emotional wellness, is, again, taking our pulse. What is this really about? We ask ourselves. We need to understand, where is this negative emotion coming from? Or we have a flood of negative thoughts. What trigger, where did that come from? And we have to take the time to figure that out. Okay. Another tip, smile, even faking a smile, right? Because the physical act of smiling lowers blood pressure and slows the heart rate during times of stress. And you say, but if I'm faking it, doesn't my brain know? The brain doesn't recognize whether it's fake or not. Laughter either. You can make yourself smile, or look for something to make you smile. And that'll actually, because people say, I was all in my head. If you're looking for something to make you smile, you'll find it, and it'll get you out of that, right? We don't want to be stuck there. Another thing is to be polite. Everyone likes to be treated with courtesy and respect. So showing consideration for others creates a positive environment, and we speak more positive. We act differently. Another one is being aware of the whole situation. Is it something that happened in the moment? The employee serving a long line of customers at the deli counter, the post office, or at the post office, is under a lot of pressure. They may not speak to you very kindly. The waiter forgets your order. They could be new on the job, right? Remember when you might have been in a similar situation. So by being tolerant and understanding, you make it easier for them to do their job. And then you're more compassionate with yourself when you're in a similar circumstance. We get what we give. But all of this also helps us to, because if we let the pressure build, we're on that line at the post office and we're rushing, and I have 10 other things to do, which that's a whole nother story, right? And I'm rushing and doing all these things. And now my brain starts spouting out all these negative. Oh, it just starts, and it's very hard to stop. So try an adjustment attitude, turn negatives into positives. And that's what NLP does. We look at something, and you've experienced it doing the challenges, and then we turn it this way, and then we move it back, and then we slant it. And right, we're looking at the situation, the goal, from all perspectives, all angles. And it's like, whoa, we've been shocked, right? By the things we've discovered about ourselves. It's a whole journey. Very interesting how we've been blaming other people for not reaching our goals. And it's like, oops, but I do have the resources. I have all the resources available to me. It's just that I have to take responsibility and use them, right? So we could also, for instance, instead of being upset when we're in traffic, take the time to listen to music or podcasts, right? If you're short on money, appreciate the good things you have. I don't have a whole lot of money this week. I've paid all my bills, not much left over after that, but I have good friends and family, right? The things that really matter. And we're able, that's what NLP helps us to do, to learn to put things into perspective, look at it from a different angle, not just be like this, but really step back and look at it from a different angle so we can control our negative thinking, which then affects and avoids negative actions, yelling, exploding, brooding, isolating, being in bed depressed for days, disconnected from everyone. Learning to control our negative thoughts allows us to stay connected. And we've learned in this class as well the value of being in a group, how empowering it can be. A group that's full of vitamin people. We're all on the same journey, right? We understand each other. We applaud each other. We lift each other up. It's just beautiful. That's what we need. People need people. But when we're negative, or we say, I'm so negative, I don't want to subject anyone to me, to this. No one deserves this. I don't want to be around people right now. But if we're around vitamin people, good people that lift us up and energize us, we can just be ourselves and they'll love us anyway. Isn't that beautiful? So we have to learn how to control our negative thoughts. So let's look at how NLP helps us to convert negative words into positive. I would like for expressions. I would like for you to take notes if you can, because it's the way we talk and we've learned it. And now we have to unlearn it, reprogram. So for instance, you're looking at an NLP challenge and you're like, I am so confused. It's negative. Instead, we could say, I'm looking for clarity. Instead of saying, I'm failing, I'm not doing good in this class, you could say, I'm learning, because that's what you're doing. I'm so stressed. No, I'm blessed with responsibilities. Isn't that beautiful? I'm lonely. You could say, I'm available to vitamin people for love. And we open up, it makes us smile when we say things like that. I'm blessed with responsibility. We don't say, I'm blessed with responsibility. I'm blessed with responsibility. Reframing the verbiage into positive, it changes our whole body language. It's a change, it's a shift in our minds. So we could say, I'm working on this, instead of saying, I don't know what to do. I'm learning, instead of saying, I'm not good at this. I'm changing, instead of saying, I'll never be able to do this. Such despair. They say, I'm changing. And that's, those of you that have been in the class doing, even if you've done 1, 2, or 3 of the challenges, you see how it pushes. It's kind of like when people wear braces and they can feel the pressure on it hurts when they tighten those braces, because they're changing the form of those teeth. It's not easy, but you can feel the difference. We see it in the chat. Everybody's commenting how good and how like mind and like eye-opening doing the challenges has been. So I'm changing. It's very positive. And of course, we're changing for the good, which is amazing. I want to ask for participation. Let me go back to the screen. Can anyone guess the expression little by little? Because I could say, I'm changing little by little. Why would that be inappropriate? Why would that not be good to say? Why could that be looked at as negative? Can anyone guess? You could raise your hand. Anyone have a clue? What we should say is, I'm changing gradually. Tiffany?
It would be a little, it's like you're downgrading your progress.
Mm.
Like it's not that big. So, you're not recognizing what you've done.
Mm-hmm. Very limiting, right? That word little. Yeah, I have a little bit of money. I have a little business on the side. Little. It's small. It's insignificant. And like Tiffany said, you're downgrading. But we say that all the time, or in Spanish, poco a poco, right? It's just a thing that everybody says. It probably exists in every language. But it will be better for us to say, I'm changing gradually. Isn't that interesting? The words that we use are very powerful, whether we realize it or not. So now with NLP, we're going to be much more aware. You're going to hear yourself saying things and like, oh, I meant to say. Okay. Somebody asks you to do something, you say, I can't help you right now. That's defeatist. I can't help you right now. Instead, we could say, you know what, let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you. That promotes action and solution. And then if we really want to be specific, I'll get back to you by tomorrow, right? So words affect our brain. Positive words activate parts of our brain associated with rewards. So that when we say, I'm changing, and we smile and we feel the benefit of that. Now we are faced with another challenge in life, because they always come. Our brain remembers that we did something like this before. Remember, one of the challenges was like that? I think early on, asking, like, what other things have you accomplished in your life? Because we're just, yeah, right? Then it's like, oh yeah, I use discipline and self-control in most areas of my life except this, right? Like, look at me. Wow. And it's so important to reflect on that. So when we associate positive words with rewards, that's how the brain connects it. Then we say, "Ooh, this is challenging, but I can get this done because I've done something similar before. I've what would be the word? I've smashed goals before. I've conquered challenges, but I've done things. I've reached my goals before. This is interesting. I can do this. I got this. I can learn." And sometimes it happens, at the job. There's a new software system that they put in place. It's like, huh, okay, let me get the instruction manual. Let me take a course, right? I can learn this. I've done it before. I've learned other things before. I can do this, right? So we want to use the positive words. Here are some positive words to implement in our vocabulary. I can, I accomplish, happy, love. All those activate areas of our brain, the lymphatic part of our brain. And I was looking up some information. I'm like, oh, I have to do a video on this. It's so deep. But the lymphatic part of our brain is affected by negatively by negative words. It causes brain fog. It causes all these negative things. But when we use positive words, of course, that part, the blood flows nicely. I'm going to do more research and do a video on it because it's very good. The negative words, I can't, failure, hatred, problems, need, activates the amygdala. I mean, stress, cortisol and adrenaline, those hormones of stress increase. And it prepares the body, like we said, for emergency. It's to protect you. So then you're anxious, you can't sleep, you have bad digestion. What helps? Repetition. Like we saw, positive words, it takes more repetition to outweigh the negative. So that audio, listen to positive things. Fabiola actually made one for herself as well with her positive affirmations. Doing that helps us to keep us in the present. I'm able, I'm capable, I'm doing excellent every day, right? A few more expressions that we normally say. I never have time for anything. And if you've read the PDF for 8 or 9, in one of those, it talks about those words, never. Like you tell your husband, you never do anything for me, right? But I never have time for anything. We could say, I'm organizing my time better. I'm not good at this. He said, I'm learning and getting better at this. I always make mistakes. Every error, we could say, gets me closer to my goals. Beautiful, right? I'm exhausted. I'm feeling better every day. Okay? So these are ways that we can manufacture in our brains goodness, happiness, joy, positivity by using our language well, in a really good way. It's powerful. And of course, we can do it. And NLP helps. It helps a lot. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording. For those that weren't able to be here, we missed you. And enjoy the recording. Let me stop it.